I remember one interview that I sat on, and this lady said, we asked the lady that, oh, can you work under pressure? And she said, no. She said, I cannot work under pressure. You know, I like my things to be planned. I don't want things to come in last minute and all that. And while she was being honest, that was not the right answer for the interview. There are some times when you actually think, oh, I'm being honest. They ask you, what are your weaknesses? And you go blah, 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 blah. So today we're going to learn how to ace an interview and what are the important things to consider. Hi everyone, my name is Oreoluwa Adekoya and I'd like to welcome you to Tikkytalks. Tikkytalks is that space where we talk about career, businesses, how to navigate the workplace and getting ahead with all the challenges that we see in today's world. Today we'll be talking about how to ace an interview. As simple as it sounds, you might think that, oh, everybody knows how to ace an interview. For goodness sakes, we're all, working and all that. So you've finally gotten a door into the job of your dreams, right? And then you have this interview and you're like, what do I do? How do I do it? And how do I go through it? I remember one interview I had. It was actually my very first work interview. And I cried. It was terrible. It was terrible. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know the things to say. I was just excited. Like, it was an investment bank and I had gotten an offer into the investment bank. So we had done a test, right? And I was the number one person in the test. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm good like that, And then they invited me for an interview. And then I wore a shirt and pants because it said dress business formal, right? So I wore a shirt and pants, and a shirt and pants is good, right? Yes, it is. So I walked into the interview room and for some reason I forgot to shut the door properly. So they asked me to shut the door. And then I turned back and I shut the door. As I turned to look at the room, I saw the looks of shock on their faces, like they were shocked. And that's when I remembered, oh my God. Even though I wore a shirt to the interview, right? Because I was coming from Surulere, the interview was in Ikoyi. I wanted to be comfortable and I sweat a lot. So I wanted to wear a shirt that, is very light, it's not too thick, that even when I enter bus and all that, I will not be oozing some things to my interview, which is also very important anyway. So yeah, I considered all that. However, there was a large dragon. You heard me right. There was a large dragon design on the back of my shirt. So when I turned to shut the door and they saw the dragon, they were like, okay, is this girl really serious? And the funny thing was, they had high expectations of me because, they had interviewed so many people and I think I was the last. So this was the girl that scored the highest at the test and all that. So we're excited to meet her. Let's meet her and then let's know her. That wasn't even the only blunder. They asked me what investment banking was about and I said, oh, investment banking is about, and I just mumbled or something. I had no idea, right? They asked me, oh, what do you think our working hours are? I said, oh, you go to work and come back, by 8 p.m. you're back home, blah, 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 and then they said, why do you want to work? I said, oh, my sister is an investment banker, so I really love investment banking, which is not bad, right? But putting it all together, in fact, one of the partners helped me to summarize it nicely. He said, oh, let me cut to the chase, right? So you have a sister that works in investment banking, yet you don't know what we do. You don't know how we dress. You don't know our working hours. So why are you here? At that moment, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was in shock. I was totally in shock. I went back home, I went to cry. My mom said, don't worry. Look, then they called me and then they said, oh, you didn't get the job. And I was crying and crying. And I told myself, never again will I go to an interview and I will not be called back, right? Guess what? A few months down the line, one of the partners called me. I will tell you the blunder I did again this time. So one of the partners called me. Fortunately or unfortunately, it was my birthday, right? And I was in NYC camp on that day. So he called me and then he says, oh, hi, this is, and he said his name. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? And I heard him say, okay. I'm sure in his head he was like, why is this girl this excited? And I'm like, oh, I thought you were calling to wish me happy birthday. Oh my God, see how naive I was. Like, I actually thought, oh, he was calling me to wish me happy birthday. Maybe and one of the forms I filled, blah, blah, blah. Oh my, I was so naive. And then he was like, oh, that, you know, when we interviewed you, there was something about you, you know, and I feel that maybe it was just a bad day and you didn't prepare. So we have another position open for you. Maybe you want to come in and then let's see if you're fit for the role. Wow. This was a second chance, right? You know, so, you know, they say there's never a second chance to make a first impression, but at least I got a second chance to prove myself. And trust me, I prepared for the interview. Of course, I got the job. That was my very first job. I was a research analyst at an investment bank, and I did that for a couple of months before I transited to something else. So today, you might ask, how do I ace an interview? The first thing is your dressing. You can never be overdressed for an interview. Never. You want to wear a suit? Wear it. You want to wear a tie? Wear it. You want to wear corporate shoes? Wear it. But don't go underdressed. If you feel it's too much, it's probably not. It's better to be overdressed than to be underdressed, right? Look formal. Yes, it's a casual company, it's an IT company and all that, but just maybe the CFO is still a bit old school and you look at the way people dress. You never know. You never know. So by default, dress formally. Of course, don't wear ill-fitting clothes. Wear well-fitted clothes that you're comfortable in and portray you in a good light. That's the first thing. I've interviewed people and, you know, only God looks on the inside, right? We are men, we look on the outside. I've seen people walking into interview and I said, nah, I can't have this person on my team. I cannot want somebody to represent me in front of the MD and send this guy there. No, because of how he's dressed, right? Basic things as your perfume. Don't go there oozing some scents that are ungodly, right? Use a perfume that day. Yes, remember what I told you about the shirt I wore? I was conscious because I didn't want to sweat and everything, but of course, I could have still, even with the dragon shirt, guess what I could have done? I could have packed a jacket and put it in my hand. And then when I got into the interview, just thrown on my jacket and cover that dragon. So by that, I would have achieved two things. I ensure that I don't sweat on my way to the interview, and then I still look corporate, I still look formal even for the interview, right? So your dressing, your looks, your smell, very important, you know. For the ladies, don't overdo the makeup, right? Very simple makeup. You don't need to do all the eyelashes and everything and all that. Look good, yes, look very good, but you don't have to overdo the makeup, right? The next thing I'll tell you is research about the company. I can't tell you the number of interviews I've gone into and I ask, okay, so what do we do here? And they're like, it's basic, you know, research about the company on Google, you know, whoever gave you access into the company, like a friend or something, ask them questions. What do they do? You know, what are their values? You know, and what are their achievements? What are their aspirations in the organization? Know a bit about the company. It's basic. Second thing is know about the role. Oh, I've attended many an interview where I ask, so what do you think this role is about? And they mumble and mumble and mumble and mumble. And of course, that's a mistake I made as well in my very first interview where they asked me what investment banking was about and I didn't know. It's basic. Because why are you interviewing for the role if you don't even know what the role is about? That just shows that you are here to tick a box. You are here to make money. You are not here to add value. And companies, out of thousands and thousands of candidates, companies don't just want somebody that they'll be paying a salary. They want somebody that they will pay a salary but would also add value to the company. And that's the purpose of an interview. They're looking at the value thousands of people can add and how to pick the one that will add the most value. So you researching about the role tells us that, okay, there's some value you can add. And it doesn't just end at researching about the role. How about how you can add value? So what are the things, and this is where you need to do your research. So think about the role you're applying for and then look into your own experiences, right? And say, what are the things that I have done in the past, or what are the skills, the educations, and the education and what have you that I have that can fit into this particular role? What do I have that makes me a good fit? And you need to talk about these things and highlight them during the interview, right? Very important. Next, you want to avoid cliches. I'm a go-getter. I can work under pressure. I am analytical thinking. All those things, interviewers can read between the lines and read bullshit. You don't need to say it. You don't need to say, I'm a go-getter. You know, we know all these things. Like, we have heard it so many times. Anybody can say it. So what will make me believe you, right? Rather, look for examples that have demonstrated these skills that you want to talk about, right? So, for example, when I had to do this, we had to deliver a project in 3 weeks, right? The normal time for the project is 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but then we had to do it in 3 weeks. What did I do? I organized my team. Talk about the things that you did that prove that skill. But just saying I am analytical, I have relationship skills, all those things don't help you, and they don't move you ahead, right? So what you can do is Google. There are a lot of resources online. Google common interview questions and how to answer them. Please don't take the answers hook, line, and sinker. Think about what those questions, those answers do. They help to juggle your memory, and you start to now remember, okay, when did I handle this? What can I pull from my own experience, my own skills, my education, and all that I can use to answer these common types of interview questions. They will tell you, at least from my experience, I know the common interview questions are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, tell us about a time where you faced a challenge and how did you go about it, how do you deal with a difficult boss, how do you deal with a difficult team member, you know, and how do you handle those kind of situations. But there are several other questions that might be asked. Obviously, the questions about the company, about the role, are things you should also get yourself accustomed to, right? So Google those questions and be yourself. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody that you are not. It's as much as just like ChatGPT, right? When I ask ChatGPT questions, I don't take the answers hook, line, and sinker. I try to do a refining, right, and put it in my own language. I remember there was a time we were doing a presentation at work, and then they gave me a script, and I struggled. I sincerely struggled. I read it once, twice, and it just wasn't working. And I said, you know what? Give me some time. Let me write my own script. And then I took the script they gave me, and when I sat down to look at it, I smiled. And I called the guy. I said, is this ChatGPT? And he said yes. I said, oh, no wonder. And so I sat down, I rewrote it in my own words with my own experiences, and I found out that I could easily flow with it. So when you take things that you just copy off the internet, it's not you. So don't project yourself to be somebody that you're not. I had a friend recently that, you know, was talking about an interview that she went for, and she was upset at herself because she didn't do well. Oh, she didn't say this, and all. And then when I asked her questions, I realized that she wasn't qualified for the interview. She wasn't. So I realized that she wasn't even qualified for the interview. But she loved the company so much. She loved the prospects of making money and all. She wanted to get into the company by all means. And I told her, I said, most likely you will get in, but you will struggle because it will be obvious that you're not skilled for this work, and then you don't know how to do it, and you don't want that. You don't want to lie on your interview and say you have skills that you don't have. You will struggle when you get in. I once had a team member that, you know, at his interview, he said, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, you know, and I asked him, okay, rate yourself on this, platform, and then he rated himself, and it was good, you know. For me, it was not a very significant role. It was an intern role, you know, so it was little crumbs. And then he came into my team, and then from day one, I said, oh, you said you're good in this, work on this. You said you're good in this, work on this. You said you're good in this, work on it. And he struggled. And I'm like, okay, so now you've gotten a seat at the table, but you can't even maintain that seat. You can't prove, yes, you have gotten in, but it's getting in everything. In the next few months, I'm going to kick you out because you don't have the skills that you said you have. So getting into an organization is not all there is, but ensuring that you are best fit for that organization, for that role, and you can do the things that they ask of you to do as well. Very important. And then ask questions. You know, a lot of times they ask people, do you have any questions for us? No, because you are so in awe of the company. It's an oil and gas. I just want to get in oil and gas. What if it doesn't fit you? What if they require you to work Saturday and Sunday? Yes, there are organizations like that. And you know you are not ready to work Saturday and Sunday. But because they're going to pay you 2 million naira per month, you accept it. And then you get in and you start complaining, no, I have weekend, I have side hustle, I have this I cannot do. But you didn't ask the right questions. Ask about pay. A lot of organizations mask their pay structure, right? What is the taxes? What is going to be my take-home pay, right? Of course, you don't have to ask this level of questions at the first interview. You can ask that when you're if you finally get the job and all that. But you can ask, oh, what's the pay range? What's the budget for this role? You know, who am I going to be reporting to? Very important, especially for senior people, right? You don't want to get a job where the pay is good, but in terms of the position, you're reporting to somebody who's reporting to somebody who's reporting to the MD, right? That as well is very important. You need to know and understand from the onset what is the structure of this role. Questions like, oh, the person that was there before, why did the person leave the organization? Or why is this role available in the first place? You can find out that they've been changing people every 5 months, then that organization has comma. You get, and you need to ask yourself, okay, do I really want to come in here if there's a high turnover rate for that role? Maybe the manager in that role has a terrible attitude, you know, maybe there are high demands on that role or something, but you need to probe in deeper. So the ask questions part is a very important aspect for you to get to know more about the company, you know, and get to know how the organization fits into you. Yes, they are interviewing you, but you also need to interview the organization and ensure that they are the right fit for you and in somewhere where you can grow and aligns with your goals and objectives, right? So with these few points of mine, I hope to have helped you on how to ace an interview. Remember, research. Go to Google, get common interview questions. Be yourself. Avoid cliches and ask questions. Dress well, dress good, look the part. Look like you came here to take the job. Thank you very much for joining us today, and until we see you at the next episode of Tikkytalks, it's Ore signing out.